Welcome to another edition of the weekly Torah portion. This week's parasha is Parashat Bechukotai. And in the beginning of the parasha, it talks about all gorgeous, beautiful blessings that Hashem will bestow upon us if we keep His mitzvot and learn His Torah, and we'll have wealth and health and happiness and all wonderful things. However, in the midst of the berachot, there's a very strange pasuk. The words of the pasuk says, "V'lo tir'al nafshi etchem." I will not be disgusted with you. Imagine, you buy a card for your wife or your mother, whoever it may be, and it says, "Roses are red, violets are blue, and I love you." And then it says, "And I'm not disgusted with you." You think that would be a bestseller? I hardly doubt it. So what is this pasuk doing here? In the midst of Hashem giving us all these beautiful berachot, He says, "And I'm not disgusted with you." So to answer this, I want to share with you a story that is really a very touching and amazing story, probably one of the best that I've ever read in my life. There was a man by the name of Rummel Green. Rummel Green lived through the Holocaust, and he lost everything. Any possessions, he lost his parents, he lost his grandparents, his aunts, his uncles, his brothers, his sisters. He was left with nothing. He survived the Holocaust and made his way out to America and came to live over here. He decided that he is so angry at God and he wants nothing to do with Judaism. He moved out to Alabama, where he was sure that he wouldn't find any religious Jews, and he started his new life. And this Rummel Green changed his name to Aaron. He got married. Coincidentally, the girl was Jewish. He was not looking for a Jewish woman. And they had 2 children, Jeffrey and Jennifer. And as years went by, Aaron Green made it very big and he became very wealthy. And he was raising his children, and it came that Jeffrey, his son, was turning 13. And there was something bothering Aaron, that he wanted to do something special for his son's 13th birthday. He wouldn't dare and celebrate a bar mitzvah. He had nothing to do with Judaism. He ate ham on Yom Kippur. He wanted zero to do with God. But something inside of him was bugging him. So he decided that he's going to take his son to the fanciest mall in town and buy him anything that he wants for his 13th birthday. He wanted to make it a special day. So they get in the car, they go to the mall, and they're looking for the first store that they should visit to search for this expensive, beautiful present that he's going to buy him. And they head into a computer store selling all the newest and latest high-tech gadgets and iPads and tablets and whatever you want, they have it. And the salesman is trying to show Jeffrey different things, and Jeffrey is just out to lunch. He's looking around, he's looking across the hall, and he's just not paying attention to the salesman whatsoever. So the father tells him, he says, "What's the matter? I'm here buying you whatever you want. Why aren't you paying attention? Don't you want a present?" So Jeffrey turns to his father and he says, "I want to go to that store across the hall." And his father looks across the hall and he sees it's an antique store selling lamps and chairs and old tables. What in the world would a 13-year-old want to do in an antique store? But left with no choice, he apologizes to the salesman in the computer store and he says, "This is what my son wants, this is what he's going to get." And he takes him over to the antique store. And there was something that caught Jeffrey's eye in the window. It was a menorah. There was an antique menorah. It was not a shiny silver menorah. It was not beautiful at all. It was an old, broken down wooden menorah. And as Aaron sees this menorah, he has memories rushing through him. He's remembering lighting the menorah as a child. And Jeffrey says, "That's what I want. That's what I want for my 13th birthday." So Aaron tries to strike a deal with the antique salesman, and he's offering him money. The salesman says, nope, not for sale. And he says $5,000. Sorry, it's not for sale. $10,000 for this old wooden menorah. The salesman says, let me explain something to you. I picked this up because this menorah has history to it. This menorah survived the Holocaust. It was pieced together by a man that probably took scraps of wood that he found from a chair, from his bed, from anywhere that he could find. He put together scraps of wood, and it probably took him months to piece this menorah together. And therefore, this is such a piece of history, and it shows what all the suffering that the Jews went through, and still he had the love to make this menorah. Therefore, it's not for sale. This is too special to sell. And Aaron, the businessman that he was, he kept on going up in price, and finally he was able to close the deal at $15,000. And Jeffrey is a happy 13-year-old. He got what he wanted, although it was just the old wooden menorah, but it made him happy. And he took home this $15,000 wooden menorah, and he started playing with it in his room and doing whatever. A couple of days go by, and Aaron and his wife hear screams from Jeffrey's room. They come running up to see what happened. Jeffrey was playing with the menorah, dropped it on the floor, smashed into small little pieces. And he's crying on the floor. Aaron comes up to the room and he starts chastising him. How could you? How dare you? I spent so much money on this. You're not careful. You're so careless. What kind of thing is this? You broke this menorah. You can't replace this. And the son is sitting there crying and crying. And finally Aaron calms down and he gets on the floor with his son, starts picking up the pieces, trying to put back together whatever they can. And as they're picking up the pieces, Aaron picks up one wooden piece, and he sees inside it a little piece of paper wedged into the wood. And Aaron pulls out the piece of paper, and he reads it, and he faints. The son doesn't know what to do. He calls his mother into the room, and they revive Aaron, and he wakes up and he's crying and crying, and he just has no composure. And after some time, he was able to gain his composure, and they said, what's on the letter? What does it say? So he says, I'm going to read it to you. And I quote the letter. To whoever finds this menorah, I want you to know that I constructed this not knowing if I would ever have the opportunity to light it. For who knows if I will live to see the day when it will be kindled. And if I do light it one night, who says I will live to light it the second night? In all probability, I will not. But if providence brings the menorah to your hands, promise me that you will light it forever. Promise me that you will light it for us, for those who gave their lives to serve the Almighty. Promise me that you will light it for my family. And Aaron looks up and he says, it is signed by my father. Aaron was able to return to Judaism because he saw that Hashem wants him back. Hashem gave him the clues and the hints and the push to come back to Judaism, and that he still loves him. And perhaps this is what the Pasuk is telling us. Amongst all the beautiful berachot, Hashem says, I know you're going to sin. I know Klal Yisrael is not always going to stay loyal to me, but it doesn't matter. I love every single one of you. And Hashem tries to chase us, and He begs for us back. The biggest Yetzer Hara that we have, sometimes we do an Avirah, and we feel like Hashem doesn't want our tefillah now. How could I go pray mincha now? I just did such and such. It's not true. No matter what we do, no matter how many avirot we have in our bag, maybe Hashem is not happy about it, and He's going to give us our punishment. However, Hashem loves us and He wants us back. And that's the lesson that we could learn from Lo tig'al nafshi etchem. I am not disgusted with you. Shabbat Shalom.